Hello, hello. I am making a video for you that is all about how to make things happen with your gaze. We'll be using a little bit of raycasting to do this, and while this is intended to be applied to scenes in AR using an AR camera, I'll just be demoing it just for ease today, just in this scene. And applying all my scripts to just this main camera instead, but just know that you should be able to put the same script that we're putting on this camera on your AR camera, and it should work in the same way. Just a little bit harder to demo on the phone. What we'll be making is a scene where there's just some cubes out in the scene that do things when we look at them. So one of the first things that I would like to do is, so I have a little bit of setup. I have this gaze raycasting script that I have put on my camera. It is blank right now. And so if you don't know how to do that, you can create a script and then name it something and then drag and drop it onto your camera. So just like so. I've already put it on there, so we'll do that. And what I want to do is, in this script, so we'll be raycasting. I always like to do a kind of test raycast, just to make sure that the settings that I will apply to my future real raycast are correct. Make sure that the direction that you're kind of pointing the ray out makes sense. And so what I want to do is do a debug ray. So we'll do a debug.draw ray. And I need to give this two pieces of information. So one is where is the origin point for my raycast, and then two is what direction is it going. So when you put a script on a game object, that game object knows where it is. So this main camera has a transform component on it, and it knows about it. Every game object has a transform. All of them know where they are in space. And so if a script is on an object and you just call out transform.position, it knows that it's like, where am I? So it knows where it is. So transform.position is its current position. And then what we want, the direction that we want to point it is forwards. So it also knows which direction that is. So if you do transform.forward, it knows that. And then just for our use, transform.forward is a vector with a length of just 1, because it's pointing 1 unit out in the forward direction. And so I'm just going to times that by like 10, just so that we know where it is. Phone call, sorry. So if I save this, what I can do is hit play and then just make sure that that ray is pointing up in front of us. Looks like it is. And so we can also see that if I like turn my camera, that little ray is pointing out in the direction that I want. One kind of fun thing is that you can also change the color. So if that white color is hard to see, you can put in like a green or something. And so if I play that, my light is green now. Very exciting. Debugging, right? Okay. So I like that it's starting where the camera location is and it's going out forwards. One thing to think about here, I'll just leave it not green. One thing to think about here is that I don't know where in my camera this is. So if I put a little visual indicator on my scene, like a little cursor, then I can know what I should aim at, right? So if we create a image and make that source image, instead of just being like a square, we can set that to be the knob, which is round. I'll make this like a lot smaller, 10 by 10. Maybe change its color, maybe make it red, something, whatever, yellow, whatever you want it to be. And then we can use the rect transform. I'm going to hold down Shift and Alt and put it right in the center. So wherever we aim this little yellow dot, that's the direct center. So that's actually where the raycast is coming out. Because if it's like right where we are pointing forwards, it's directly in the center. So now as the user, I know which way to point my camera, right? very helpful. This isn't actually doing anything. It's just going to sit there and be pretty. So let's make some cubes for us to work with. So I'm going to make one cube, and then I will turn it into a prefab. But a few things. I made this cube material. I literally just made the default material and turned it blue. I'm going to drag and drop that on there. I'm going to, one of the things that I want this cube to be able to do is to play a sound. So I'm going to add a audio source here. And then I will also drag and drop this cube behavior script onto it. And this is, again, just a blank script that I have here. So come on. Is it working? Go. Ah. Here. There we go. A few tries is a charm. Third tries a charm. Okay. All right. So so now we have something to look at. I'm going to actually just make a couple of these. I'm going to take this cube, turn it into a prefab, and then just put in a few more. I don't want to put it directly on top of the raycast to start off with. There we go. Okay, we have a few cubes to look at now. So let's see if we can make something happen. Let's actually do our raycast. So to make a raycast, first we define a raycast hit variable. And then we do our raycasting, which is returned as a Boolean. So we check if physics.raycast. So this is the Boolean. If physics.raycast. So, right, are we hitting something? So this is where we put in the information that we figured out in our debug. So we give it the transform.position. We give it the transform.forward. We say that it's putting out the hit variable. So out hit. So hit is this hit. And then we give it a length. So we gave it like 10 here, but we can just send it out into infinity. This is something that you can decide on. How far out do you want to look? That just depends on your app. Let me make this a little bigger. Okay. So if this raycast hits something, let's just print out something here. Okay. So I save. I play. Open that console. Move my camera. So nothing, nothing. Hit. Hit. Notice how when it's over the cube, it's like we're counting up hits. So every frame that it is over, it is printing out. Okay. And a reminder, so these cubes have box colliders on them. Raycasting needs to hit a collider. So if it doesn't have a collider, it's not going to work. Stop playing. Okay, so our raycast is working. So now we can use the cube behavior script to tell our cubes to do things when they've been hit. So essentially what we need here is a public variable that our camera can change when it hits it, and then this will respond to what that public variable is doing. So if we make a public Boolean is hit, then let's say if we are hit, then we can do something else, right? So if we're hit, let's change our color to red. So I'm going to get my component, the renderer. I'll change my material.color and set it equal to color.red. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this syntax, basically this script is on the cube game object. When you say get component and then you tell it a name, a type of component, that gets that component on yourself, on the game object that this script is on. You can get components on other game objects, but in this, that requires a little bit more text. So this is getting its own renderer, and it's changing its own color to red. So, and then, so when we hit, we turn red. When we're no longer hit, we turn back to blue. And these are predefined variables. If you want to make your own colors, you could look that up. So if I hit play now, nothing's going to happen because I didn't actually set the variable in the camera script. So we need to tell this script when it's hit and not. So by default is hit is equal to false at the start. And then this script. So first we will need to make a game object variable. We'll call it hit cube. So the cube that we are hitting. I'm going to comment out that. So when our raycast hits a collider, hit cube is going to be equal to the game object attached to that collider. Easy. When it's no longer hitting something, we'll set hit cube equal to no. So now we know it, and then we say goodbye to it. Once we know it, we can say, hey, this cube that I'm hitting right now, your Boolean is hit is true. So we'll say hit cube, and we'll get its script component, which is called cube behavior. And then we can find that variable dot is hit. And we'll set that equal to true. And then before we kind of empty out the hit cube variable, if we're no longer hitting it, we'll set that back to false. Okay. Now let's test. We hit play. We turn red and then back to red. Don't worry about this. It's like, oh, it's no. And you're like, yeah, I know. I did that on purpose. La, la, la. Okay. Very fun. So with what we have right now, we are essentially just kind of turning something on and off. That could be anything, really. I mean, turning some behavior on and off. All right. Stop playing. Now, what we can do is we can do other things. So let's try to play some audio. So these cubes all have their audio listeners on them. I have already gone into freesound.org and I got some bonk sounds. So I'm going to set a few different bonk sounds. Bonk. Bonk. And bonk. And then one thing, we do not want this sound to play on awake. We only want it to play when we want it to play. So I'm going to turn that off. So in order to access our audio component to make it play stuff, we need to make an audio source variable. So audio source, and we'll call this bonk sound. So we need to get the component. Bonk sound equals get component, get the audio source. And then this is it, the full solution. We'll see a problem will come up very quickly, but and we'll fix that in a minute. But the first thing that kind of comes to mind, you're like, oh, I'll just play the bonk sound. Bonk sound dot play. Cool, right? That makes sense. Let's test this. So listen for it. So it like plays again and again and again and again and again until we go off, in which case we hear the full box noise. So that's not what we want, right? That doesn't sound nice. We only want the sound to play one time. So how do we do that? Well, what we want to do is we need to create a Boolean that'll keep track of whether the sound has been played once we've been hit. So I'll make a Boolean here. We'll call this sound played. This one is also false. Sound played is false. So if we're hit, we check, has the sound been played? If the sound has not been played, that little exclamation point means not. If the sound has not been played, then we play the sound. Once we've played the sound, then we have to set sound played equal to true. And then we need to be able to reset it back to false once we are no longer hit. So over here, sound played equals false. So we get hit, we turn red, we check. Have I played my sound? No? Play the sound. Ah, I have played the sound now. And then it won't play again. So let's save, do that test. Okay. Bonk. Bonk. Beautiful. Okay. So this strategy of using a Boolean to check if something has been done or not can be applied to playing an animation, obviously playing sounds, making something appear, anything that you just want to call one time. So yeah, it can be used for a lot of different things. But that's the basic setup, is to make the cursor raycast out from the camera, have it access variables on the other object, and then yeah, turn things true, and then make things react depending on if that hit Boolean is true or false. So good luck. All right, I hope that's helpful.